Imagine a book, ancient and profound, that once held immense significance, yet vanished from common knowledge. For thousands of years, a text that promised to reveal hidden truths about creation, angels, and the very fabric of time. Why would such a powerful document be deliberately obscured? Its wisdom kept from the masses? Today, we unravel the captivating mystery of the Book of Jubilees, a text so controversial, so revealing, that its very existence was almost erased from history. Prepare to discover the shocking reasons behind its disappearance and the profound implications of its rediscovery. To understand why this book was hidden, we first need to grasp its essence. The Book of Jubilees isn't just another ancient text. It's a retelling of the biblical narrative from Genesis and Exodus, but with astonishing detail and a unique chronological framework. It divides history into periods of 49 years, known as Jubilees, offering a different lens through which to view the unfolding of time and divine events. While it resonates with familiar stories, Jubilees introduces new characters, expands on existing narratives, and provides a deeper understanding of the laws and covenants established by God. It was a text that promised to fill in the gaps, to reveal what was left unsaid in other sacred writings. But that wasn't the whole story. Beyond simply retelling familiar stories, the Book of Jubilees offers a unique chronological framework that sets it apart. Meticulously divides history into periods of 49 years, known as Jubilees, each culminating in a Jubilee year, a concept deeply rooted in ancient Israelite law. This intricate system isn't just a historical curiosity, it's a theological statement, suggesting a divine order and a predetermined timeline for all of creation. It presents a world governed by precise celestial movements and divine decrees, where every event, from the creation of the world to the giving of the law on Mount Sinai, unfolds according to a meticulously planned schedule. This emphasis on a fixed divine calendar contrasts sharply with the more open-ended chronology found in other biblical texts, hinting at a deeper, more structured understanding of God's interaction with humanity. The book also introduces fascinating new details and characters, expanding on the lives of figures like Adam, Eve, Noah, and Abraham, providing insights into their actions and motivations that are absent from the canonical scriptures. For instance, it elaborates on the story of the Watchers, fallen angels who descended to earth and corrupted humanity, a narrative that profoundly influenced early Jewish and Christian thought. These expanded narratives and unique chronological perspectives made Jubilees a compelling, albeit controversial, text in its time. It offered a richer, more detailed tapestry of sacred history, inviting readers to delve deeper into the divine plan. But this very richness, this abundance of detail, would also contribute to its eventual marginalization. For centuries, the Book of Jubilees was a text of considerable influence, particularly among certain Jewish communities. Yet, as the Jewish canon began to solidify, Jubilees found itself on the outside looking in. It was never officially adopted into the Pharisaic or rabbinical traditions, the very foundations of Islam Judaism. Why this exclusion? The reasons are complex, but they largely revolve around the evolving criteria for what constituted sacred scripture. The rabbis sought texts with clear prophetic lineage and widespread acceptance, and Jubilees, despite its ancient roots, didn't quite fit the mold. Its unique chronological system and expanded narratives, while fascinating, may have been seen as too divergent from the established traditions. This wasn't a simple oversight. It was a deliberate choice that would shape the course of religious history. And what happened next would shock everyone.
The exclusion of the Book of Jubilees from the Jewish canon is a pivotal moment in its history, a decision that profoundly impacted its trajectory and widespread acceptance. The process of canonization within Judaism was not a single event, but a gradual, complex evolution influenced by theological debates, historical circumstances, and the consensus of rabbinical authorities. For Jubilees, several factors contributed to its eventual marginalization. One key aspect was its perceived lack of direct prophetic lineage. While it retells and expands upon the narratives of Genesis and Exodus, it does so through the voice of an angel revealing secrets to Moses, rather than presenting itself as a direct prophetic utterance from God. This distinction was crucial for the rabbis, who prioritized texts believed to be divinely inspired and transmitted through established prophetic figures. Furthermore, the unique chronological system of Jubilees, with its emphasis on a 364-day calendar and its precise division of history into Jubilees, diverged from the lunar solar calendar that became normative in Jewish practice. This calendrical difference, while seemingly minor, could have had significant implications for religious observances and the timing of festivals, leading to concerns about its practical application and potential for schism. The book also contains interpretations and expansions of biblical law that, while perhaps reflecting certain sectarian views of the time, such as those of the Essenes, a group associated with the Dead Sea Scrolls, did not align with the developing halakhic traditions of the Pharisees and later Rabbinic Judaism. The rabbis, in their efforts to unify and standardize Jewish practice and belief, sought to exclude texts that might introduce discord or challenge established norms. Thus, the rejection of Jubilees was not a malicious act, but a consequence of a rigorous process of theological discernment and communal consolidation. It was a choice made to preserve the integrity and coherence of the emerging Jewish tradition, even if it meant sidelining a text that held deep spiritual meaning for some. This decision, however, did not erase Jubilees entirely. It merely shifted its status, pushing it into the realm of apocryphal literature for mainstream Judaism. Yet its influence would continue to ripple through other traditions, setting the stage for its complex reception in early Christianity. While Judaism largely moved away from Jubilees, early Christian writers had a more varied relationship with the text. Figures like Justin Martyr, Origen, and Epiphanius, revered thinkers of the early church, referenced and even quoted from Jubilees in their own writings. This suggests that for a time, it held a place of respect, if not full canonical authority, within certain Christian circles. However, as Christianity developed its own canon, Jubilees, like many other texts, faced scrutiny. Its unique theological interpretations, such as the detailed role of angels in mediating God's law, while present in some New Testament ideas, might have been viewed with caution by those seeking to establish a unified and consistent doctrine. Ultimately, it was deemed apocryphal or deuterocanonical by most Christian denominations, meaning it was considered valuable for study, but not essential for faith. But the story doesn't end there. The journey of the Book of Jubilees into the early Christian world is a fascinating testament to the fluidity of religious texts in antiquity. Unlike its definitive exclusion from the Jewish canon, Jubilees experienced a more nuanced and varied reception among early Christian writers and communities. Many prominent figures, intellectual giants of their time, such as Justin Martyr, Origen, and Epiphanius, not only knew of Jubilees but actively engaged with its content. Their writings contain direct references and allusions to the book, indicating that it was considered a valuable source of information and theological insight. This suggests that for a period Jubilees held a respected, if not fully authoritative, position within certain Christian circles. It was seen as a text that could enrich understanding of biblical history and divine revelation, particularly its detailed accounts of angels and their roles, and its unique chronological framework. The concept of angels mediating God's law, for instance, found resonance with certain New Testament ideas, even if not explicitly stated in the same manner. However, as Christianity began to define its own distinct identity and solidify its sacred scriptures, Jubilees, along with many other texts, underwent a rigorous process of evaluation. The criteria for inclusion in the Christian canon were complex, often involving considerations of apostolic authorship, widespread usage in the churches, and theological consistency with emerging Christian doctrines. While Jubilees offered valuable historical and theological insights, it's apocryphal nature, meaning it was not considered divinely inspired in the same way as the Old and New Testaments, ultimately led to its exclusion from the primary biblical canon for most Christian denominations. For Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, and Protestant traditions, Jubilees was relegated to the status of pseudepigrapha or deuterocanonical literature. This meant it could be read for edification and historical understanding, but it was not to be used as a basis for doctrine or considered on par with the canonical scriptures. The reasons for this marginalization were varied.
8. Some scholars
suggest that its emphasis on a specific calendar and certain legal interpretations might have been seen as too closely tied to Jewish sectarian movements, which early Christianity sought to distance itself from. Others point to its expanded narratives and unique theological perspectives, which, while intriguing, might have been perceived as adding too much to or diverging too far from the core narratives of the established biblical texts. Despite this, the continued presence of Jubilees in the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church's canon stands as a powerful counter-narrative, demonstrating that its reception was not uniform across all Christian traditions. This enduring acceptance in Ethiopia highlights the diverse ways in which ancient texts were valued and preserved, even as they fell out of favor elsewhere. The story of Jubilees in early Christianity is a complex interplay of acceptance, scrutiny, and eventual marginalization, a process that ultimately shaped the biblical landscape we recognize today. But the echoes of its wisdom would persist, waiting for a future rediscovery.
For centuries, the Book of Jubilees faded into obscurity, becoming a whisper in the annals of history. It largely disappeared from Western knowledge, surviving primarily through its Ge'ez translation in Ethiopia, a testament to the enduring faith of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. For a long time, scholars believed that the original Hebrew text was lost forever. Then, in the mid-20th century, something truly extraordinary happened. Between 1947 and 1956, among the ancient caves of Qumran, a treasure trove of manuscripts was unearthed, the Dead Sea Scrolls. And within this monumental discovery were numerous fragments of the Book of Jubilees, written in its original biblical Hebrew. This wasn't just a rediscovery. It was a resurrection, bringing a long-lost voice back from the depths of time. But why was it hidden for so long? The disappearance of the Book of Jubilees from widespread circulation for centuries is a story as dramatic as any biblical epic. For a long time, it was considered a lost text, known only through fragmented references in other ancient writings and, crucially, through its complete preservation in the Ge'ez language within the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. This isolated survival in Ethiopia is a remarkable testament to the cultural and religious independence of that ancient Christian tradition, which maintained a broader biblical canon than most other Christian denominations. While the rest of the world largely forgot about Jubilees, it continued to be read, studied, and revered in Ethiopia, a living link to a forgotten past. Scholars in the West had long yearned for a complete Hebrew or Greek version of the text, believing it held invaluable insights into early Jewish and Christian thought. Their hopes were finally realized in the most unexpected and spectacular way. The mid-20th century witnessed one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in history, the unearthing of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Between 1947 and 1956, in the desolate caves of Qumran near the Dead Sea, Bedouin shepherds and archaeologists uncovered thousands of manuscript fragments, revealing a library of ancient texts that had been hidden for nearly 2 millennia. Among these scrolls, a significant number of fragments of the Book of Jubilees were found, written in its original biblical Hebrew. This discovery was nothing short of revolutionary. It provided irrefutable proof of the book's antiquity and its widespread presence among certain Jewish sects, such as the Essenes, who are believed to have inhabited Qumran. The Hebrew fragments largely confirm the accuracy of the Ge'ez translation, validating its authenticity and providing scholars with an unprecedented opportunity to study the text in its original linguistic context. The rediscovery of Jubilees was more than just an academic triumph. It was a resurrection. It brought a long-lost voice back into the conversation about early religious history, challenging preconceived notions about the development of biblical canons and the diversity of ancient Jewish thought. It revealed that the religious landscape of the Second Temple period was far more complex and varied than previously understood, with multiple texts and traditions vying for influence. The Dead Sea Scrolls, and particularly the Jubilees fragments, forced scholars to re-evaluate the processes by which certain texts were canonized and others were excluded. It highlighted the fragility of textual transmission and the profound impact of historical and theological decisions on the survival and recognition of sacred writings. The question then became, if this book was so important, so widely read, why did it vanish from the collective memory of so many traditions? The answer lies in a combination of deliberate choices and the relentless march of time. The reasons for the Book of Jubilees being largely hidden from mainstream religious traditions are a complex interplay of theological, historical, and practical factors, rather than a single nefarious conspiracy. Firstly, its exclusion from the Jewish canon was a critical turning point. As Judaism transitioned from a temple-centric religion to one focused on rabbinic authority and the synagogue, the criteria for sacred texts became increasingly defined. The rabbis, who were the custodians of Jewish law and tradition, sought to establish a clear and authoritative body of scripture that would unify the Jewish people. Jubilees, with its unique calendrical system, its expanded narratives that sometimes diverged from or added to the familiar biblical accounts, and its specific legal interpretations, did not align with the emerging rabbinical consensus. It was seen as a text that, while perhaps interesting for its historical or theological insights, was not essential for the core tenets of the faith or for guiding daily Jewish life. The emphasis shifted towards texts that were universally accepted and that provided a clear, consistent framework for religious practice. The book's association with certain sectarian groups, like the Essenes, who held distinct beliefs and practices, may also have contributed to its marginalization by the broader Jewish community. To include Jubilees would have meant legitimizing these divergent views, which ran counter to the goal of establishing a unified religious identity. Secondly, within early Christianity, the reception of Jubilees was initially more open, as evidenced by its use by prominent church fathers. However, as Christianity developed its own distinct theological doctrines and sought to define its own canon, Jubilees, like many other texts, faced scrutiny. The desire for a unified and consistent body of Scripture, one that clearly articulated Christian beliefs and practices, led to a process of selection and exclusion. While some of its themes, such as the role of angels, resonated with Christian thought, other aspects, particularly its unique chronological system and certain legal interpretations, might have been perceived as challenging or even heretical by some. The early church was keen to distinguish itself from Jewish sectarianism and to establish its own theological foundations. Texts that blurred these lines or introduced complexities that could lead to doctrinal disputes were often set aside. It wasn't necessarily a deliberate conspiracy to hide the book, but rather a gradual process of discernment and consolidation as religious traditions solidified their foundational texts. The sheer passage of time and the fragility of ancient manuscripts also played a significant role in its disappearance. Before the advent of printing, texts were copied by hand, a laborious and error-prone process. If a text was not widely copied and distributed, its chances of survival were slim. Jubilees, having been marginalized by both mainstream Judaism and the developing Christian church simply did not receive the same level of preservation effort as the canonical scriptures. Its survival in Ethiopia is a testament to a unique historical and cultural context that valued and preserved it when others did not. Thus, the hidden status of Jubilees was a combination of deliberate theological choices, the natural processes of textual transmission and loss, and the evolving identities of religious communities. It serves as a powerful reminder that the history of sacred texts is not a simple narrative of divine revelation, but a complex story shaped by human decisions, cultural contexts, and the passage of time. Yet, the wisdom it contains is timeless, waiting to be rediscovered and re-examined by each new generation. The story of the Book of Jubilees is a powerful reminder that history is not always as straightforward as it seems. It challenges us to look beyond the familiar, to question why certain narratives are preserved while others fade into obscurity. This ancient text, once hidden, now offers us a unique window into the rich tapestry of early religious thought, providing insights into the beliefs and practices of those who came before us. Its rediscovery is a testament to the enduring power of knowledge and the continuous quest for understanding. What other ancient wisdom might be waiting to be unearthed, ready to reshape our understanding of the past and illuminate our path forward? The journey of discovery, like the Book of Jubilees itself, is far from over. Its journey from ancient obscurity to modern rediscovery serves as a compelling narrative, urging us to consider the hidden histories and untold stories that lie beneath the surface of our accepted narratives. The Book of Jubilees, in its very existence, prompts us to question, to explore, and to embrace the complexities of religious and historical understanding. It reminds us that truth is often multifaceted, and that the pursuit of knowledge is an ongoing, ever-unfolding adventure. So, as you reflect on the story of this remarkable book, consider what other forgotten wisdom might be waiting to be brought to light, and how these ancient voices might continue to shape our understanding of the world and our place within it. The quest for deeper understanding is a journey without end, and the Book of Jubilees is but one fascinating chapter in that grand exploration.